In a quiet university laboratory, Dr. Emily Carter, a respected archaeologist, received an unexpected delivery. A weathered wooden coffin, unearthed during a construction project, had been sent to her for examination. The coffin's age and origin were unknown, sparking Emily's curiosity. The coffin was small, suggesting it might have belonged to a child or perhaps held ceremonial significance. Its surface bore intricate carvings, though time had rendered them faint. Emily noted the absence of nails or hinges. The coffin seemed to be crafted from a single piece of wood, an unusual feature that hinted at advanced woodworking techniques. As she prepared to study the artifact, Emily followed standard laboratory safety protocols. She documented the coffin's external features, taking photographs and detailed notes. Her plan was to conduct a non-invasive analysis first, using imaging technology to peer inside without disturbing its contents. However, as she began the initial scans, Emily noticed something odd. The imaging equipment displayed unusual readings, with unexpected energy signatures emanating from the coffin. Puzzled, she decided to consult with her colleague, Dr. Michael Lee, a physicist with expertise in energy phenomena. Michael arrived promptly, intrigued by Emily's findings. He examined the data and suggested conducting a series of controlled experiments to determine the source of the energy readings. They agreed to proceed cautiously, aware that the combination of archaeology and unexplained energy required meticulous handling. Unbeknownst to them, this investigation would lead to a groundbreaking discovery, challenging their understanding of ancient civilizations and their technological capabilities. Emily and Michael prepared the lab for their initial experiment, ensuring that safety measures were strictly adhered to. The coffin was placed in a secure, temperature-controlled chamber, surrounded by sensitive equipment capable of detecting any changes in energy, pressure, or chemical composition. Michael set up a series of electromagnetic and thermal scanners to measure the energy anomalies Emily had identified earlier. As the systems powered up, the room filled with the soft hum of machines. Emily stood behind a protective glass panel, observing every detail. "Ready?" Michael asked, his hand hovering over the controls. Emily nodded, her eyes fixed on the coffin. "Let's see what we're dealing with." Michael activated the scanners. The monitors displayed intricate data streams, but something unexpected happened almost immediately. The energy readings spiked dramatically, far beyond what either of them anticipated. A low, faint vibration emanated from the coffin, causing some of the smaller lab tools to rattle on the counters. "What is that?" Emily whispered, leaning closer to the glass. Michael's brow furrowed as he adjusted the controls. "The energy levels are off the charts. It's emitting a type of electromagnetic pulse I've never seen before." Suddenly, the thermal scanner revealed an anomaly. A concentrated hotspot was forming in the center of the coffin, despite the room being maintained at a constant temperature. "This doesn't make sense," Michael muttered. "The wood should act as an insulator, not a conductor." Emily stared at the coffin, her mind racing. Could it be something inside? Maybe a metal artifact or an energy source? Something ancient but far ahead of its time? As they watched, the carvings on the coffin's surface began to glow faintly, as if responding to the experiment. The glow was subtle at first, but it grew stronger, casting eerie patterns on the lab walls. "This isn't just an artifact," Emily said, her voice trembling with both excitement and unease. "It's something more." Michael hesitated. "We need to stop the experiment for now. This is behaving unpredictably, and we need to analyze the data before proceeding." Reluctantly, Emily agreed, and they powered down the equipment. However, the energy levels did not dissipate entirely. The faint glow remained on the carvings, as though the coffin was alive with its own silent rhythm. Unbeknownst to them, the discovery they had just made would challenge not only their understanding of history, but also the very boundaries of science. Overnight, Emily and Michael analyzed the data gathered from their initial experiment. The energy patterns were unlike anything recorded before. Michael ran the data through multiple simulations, but none provided a clear explanation. "This energy source is reactive," Michael concluded the next morning. "It's not just radiating energy. It seems to respond to stimuli, almost as if it's alive." Emily, equally puzzled, decided to investigate the coffin's carvings more closely. She used high-resolution imaging tools to magnify the intricate patterns. As she examined the details, she discovered something astonishing. "These carvings," Emily began, her voice a mix of awe and disbelief. "They're not just decorative, they're functional." Michael leaned over her shoulder. "What do you mean?" "They resemble ancient circuitry," Emily explained, pointing to the magnified images. "Look at this. These patterns could be some kind of primitive but incredibly advanced circuit design. Whoever made this wasn't just a craftsman. They were an engineer, centuries ahead of their time." Michael's face lit up with a mix of excitement and concern. "Are you saying this coffin is a machine?" Emily nodded slowly. "It's possible. We need to examine it more thoroughly." Deciding to dig deeper, they carefully pried open a small section of the coffin lid, using specialized tools to avoid damaging the artifact. As the lid shifted, a faint hiss escaped, like air releasing after being sealed for centuries. Inside, they found a metallic object nestled among preserved organic materials. It was a small, rectangular device, no larger than a notebook, with a smooth, polished surface that seemed untouched by time. Michael picked up the object carefully. This is no ordinary artifact. It's pristine, like it was made yesterday." Emily examined it closely. The surface was engraved with symbols resembling those on the coffin, but more condensed, almost like instructions. As she touched one of the symbols, the device emitted a soft hum, and a faint light flickered to life. "It's still functional," Emily whispered, her heart racing. "After all these centuries." The light pulsed rhythmically, and as it did, the carvings on the coffin glowed in sync, as if the two were communicating. Michael quickly set up additional monitoring equipment, trying to capture every detail. "This isn't just history," he said, his voice filled with awe. "This could be the key to understanding an entirely different branch of science." But as they stared at the glowing device, an unsettling realization crept in. If this coffin and its contents were so advanced, who had created them, and why? More importantly, what purpose did they serve? The answers were out there, waiting to be uncovered, but Emily and Michael knew they were treading on the edge of something far greater and far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. Emily and Michael worked tirelessly, documenting every detail of the device they had discovered. Its light pulsed faintly, in perfect sync with the carvings on the coffin. It felt as though they were standing on the brink of uncovering a groundbreaking discovery, one that could rewrite history and science. As Michael analyzed the device, Emily noticed something unusual about the coffin itself. The carvings, which had been faintly glowing, began to emit a stronger light. It wasn't a steady glow, but more of a rhythmic pattern, like a heartbeat. "Michael," Emily called out, her voice tense. "Something's happening to the coffin." Michael turned to the monitoring equipment, and his face grew pale. "The energy levels are spiking again, higher than before, and the temperature inside the coffin is rising." The lab filled with a faint hum, growing louder by the second. The air felt heavier, almost charged, as if the room itself was reacting to the artifact. Emily instinctively stepped back while Michael frantically adjusted the equipment. "This isn't a passive object," Michael said, his voice filled with urgency. "It's responding to us. The more we interact with it, the stronger the reaction." Emily's eyes remained fixed on the coffin. But why now? It was dormant before. Michael hesitated, his gaze darting between the device in his hand and the coffin. "Maybe the device is a key," he suggested. "When you activated it, it might have triggered something, a sequence or mechanism designed to protect or reveal what's inside." Emily's mind raced. If the coffin was indeed a machine, then it could be operating on principles far beyond their understanding. The energy spikes, the glowing carvings, and now the temperature increase, all of it pointed to something more than an ancient relic. Suddenly, the hum escalated to a low rumble, and the coffin began to vibrate. Emily grabbed Michael's arm. "We need to step back. This could be dangerous." They retreated behind the protective glass as the vibration intensified. The carvings on the coffin now glowed so brightly that they illuminated the entire room. The device in Michael's hand pulsed rapidly, its light matching the rhythm of the coffin. "What's happening?" Emily whispered, her heart pounding. Before Michael could respond, the coffin emitted a sharp, blinding light. The monitors displayed chaotic readings, energy levels fluctuating wildly, temperatures soaring. Then, with a deafening crack, the coffin split along its seams, releasing a surge of energy that sent shockwaves through the lab. Emily and Michael shielded their faces as the light subsided. When they opened their eyes, the coffin lay in pieces, its contents exposed. But what they saw inside left them speechless. Resting in the center of the broken coffin was a perfectly preserved humanoid figure, unlike anything they had ever seen. Its skin was metallic but organic, shimmering with an iridescent glow. Strange symbols were etched across its surface, matching those on the coffin and device. This isn't human," Emily said, her voice barely above a whisper. Michael stared in disbelief. "It's not just an artifact, it's a being. And it was alive." The room fell silent as they realized the implications of their discovery. Whatever this being was, it carried secrets that could alter humanity's understanding of life, science, and the universe itself. Emily and Michael stood frozen, their minds racing as they tried to process what lay before them. The humanoid figure was unlike anything they had ever encountered, a fusion of biology and technology. Its metallic skin reflected the soft glow of the lab's lights, and its body was marked with intricate symbols that seemed to pulse faintly, as if alive. Emily took a cautious step closer, her heart pounding. "Is it still functioning? Could it be alive?" Michael shook his head, still staring at the being. "It's hard to tell. Whatever it is, it's far beyond anything we understand. This isn't just ancient. It's extraterrestrial or something entirely unknown." He quickly set up additional scanners to analyze the figure. The readings were astonishing. The humanoid emitted faint energy signals, similar to those from the device and the coffin. Its composition was a blend of organic matter and advanced alloys, materials that didn't exist in any known database. Emily leaned closer, her scientific curiosity overriding her fear. "Look at these symbols," she said, pointing to the etched markings on the figure's chest. "They're the same as the ones on the coffin and the device. It's like they're part of a language, a code." Michael nodded, adjusting the scanners. "If we can decipher these symbols, we might understand what this is, where it came from, and why it was sealed in the coffin." As they examined the figure, Emily noticed something remarkable. One of its hands clutched a small, crystalline object, partially embedded in its metallic palm. The crystal glowed faintly, pulsing in sync with the symbols on the figure's body. "What's this?" Emily whispered, carefully reaching out. "It looks like it's holding on to something, almost like a key." Michael hesitated. "Be careful. If this crystal is connected to the energy signatures, it might be the core of whatever powers this being." Emily gently pried the crystal loose. As soon as it left the humanoid's hand, the glow on its body dimmed, and the lab monitors detected a drop in energy levels. Michael's eyes widened. "You've deactivated it. The crystal must be some kind of power source." Emily studied the crystal closely. It was smooth and translucent, with a mesmerizing inner light that seemed to shift and swirl. "This isn't just a power source," she said. "It feels purposeful, like it holds information or a message." Michael glanced at her, his expression serious. "If that's true, then we've just stumbled onto something monumental. This crystal could contain data, answers to questions we haven't even thought to ask." Before Emily could respond, the lab monitors began to beep frantically. The figure's energy levels, though diminished, started to stabilize. The symbols on its body flickered faintly as if it were trying to reactivate. "It's still responding," Michael said, his voice tense. "Even without the crystal, it's not entirely dormant." Emily clutched the crystal tightly, realizing its significance. Whatever secrets it held could redefine their understanding of life, technology, and perhaps even the origins of humanity itself. But with those secrets came a sense of responsibility and danger. "We need to figure out what this all means," Emily said, her voice steady despite the turmoil in her mind. "And we need to do it before someone else finds out about this." Michael nodded, understanding the weight of her words. This discovery was bigger than either of them, and the world might not be ready for what they were about to uncover. Emily and Michael wasted no time setting up a secure workstation to analyze the crystal. They were both aware of the gravity of their discovery, knowing that any misstep could jeopardize not only their careers, but also the ethical responsibility tied to this extraordinary artifact. Michael carefully connected the crystal to a specialized scanning device capable of reading energy frequencies and translating them into visual data. As the device powered up, the crystal began to glow more intensely, projecting intricate patterns of light onto the lab walls. "Are those symbols?" Emily asked, her eyes widening. Michael nodded, his fingers flying across the keyboard. "Yes, and they're similar to the ones on the humanoid and the coffin. Let me see if I can decode them." The scanning device processed the crystal's light patterns, converting them into complex streams of data. Slowly, an image began to form on the monitor, a series of interconnected diagrams and symbols. At the center of it all was a map-like structure, overlaid with coordinates and annotations in the same unfamiliar script. "This looks like a star map," Emily said, leaning closer. "But these constellations, they don't match anything in our solar system." Michael's expression grew serious. "If this is a star map, then it's pointing to a location outside our known galaxy. But why? And why was it buried here on Earth?" As they continued analyzing the data, another startling discovery emerged. Embedded within the star map was a sequence of encoded audio and visual files. Michael decrypted the first file, and the monitor flickered to life with a holographic projection. A figure appeared, humanoid but distinctly alien. Its features were smooth and symmetrical, with large, expressive eyes that conveyed intelligence and purpose. The being spoke in a melodic, rhythmic language, and as it did, subtitles appeared at the bottom of the projection, auto-translated by the decoding software. "We are the Kiroth," the subtitles read. "Travelers and keepers of knowledge. This artifact contains the key to our legacy. If you are seeing this, it means our journey has ended, but our story must continue." Emily and Michael exchanged stunned glances. The crystal wasn't just a power source, it was a message, a time capsule left behind by an advanced civilization. The projection continued, revealing glimpses of the Kiroth's history. They were explorers, seeking to share their knowledge and preserve their culture across the cosmos. But their journey had been cut short by an unknown catastrophe, forcing them to entrust their legacy to the stars. The hologram ended with a final, haunting message. "Protect this knowledge. It is our gift to the universe, and it may hold the answers you seek." Emily sat back in her chair, her mind racing. "This isn't just a discovery, it's a responsibility. The Kiroth entrusted this to us, hoping we'd uncover it and learn from it." Michael nodded, his expression a mix of awe and determination. "But we have to be careful. If this falls into the wrong hands, it could be exploited in ways we can't even imagine." As they continued decoding the files, they realized the crystal contained not just knowledge but also advanced technology, blueprints for energy systems, medical breakthroughs, and more. It was a treasure trove of information that could propel humanity into a new era, but only if handled wisely. The weight of their discovery pressed heavily on Emily and Michael. They had uncovered something extraordinary, but the journey was far from over. They needed to protect the crystal and its secrets while deciding how to share its knowledge responsibly with the world. Emily and Michael worked tirelessly to safeguard the crystal and its contents. They encrypted the data and ensured that the physical crystal was stored securely in a lead-lined container, minimizing the energy signals it emitted. They knew that even a hint of this discovery leaking could attract attention they weren't prepared to handle. "We can't keep this to ourselves forever," Emily said one evening as they sat in the quiet lab. "But how do we ensure it's used for the right reasons?" Michael nodded, rubbing his temples. "If this technology and knowledge fall into the wrong hands, it could lead to chaos, or worse. We need to think carefully about who we trust." Emily proposed reaching out to a small group of scientists and ethical leaders who could help them form a plan. These individuals, chosen for their integrity and expertise, could ensure that the crystal's contents were studied responsibly and shared with humanity in a controlled manner. The first person they contacted was Dr. Alan Navarro, a renowned astrophysicist, with a reputation for advocating for ethical scientific practices. When they shared a fraction of their findings with him, his reaction was one of awe and caution. "This is extraordinary," Dr. Navarro said, examining the decoded star map and holographic messages. "But you're right to be cautious. The implications of this discovery are immense, and humanity isn't ready for all of it at once." Together, the small team devised a plan. They would create a secure, hidden research facility where the crystal could be studied further. Only a select group of trusted individuals would have access, and every breakthrough would be carefully vetted before being shared with the broader scientific community. As they worked on the logistics, Emily and Michael continued decoding the crystal's files. Each revelation deepened their understanding of the Kiroth civilization. They learned about their philosophies, their commitment to exploration, and their emphasis on knowledge as a unifying force. One evening, as Emily studied the holographic projections, she noticed something she had overlooked before. In the final message from the Kiroth, there was a faint overlay, a hidden layer of text that only became visible under specific light frequencies. Michael adjusted the display, and the hidden message became clear. "Beware the shadows that follow." "What does that mean?" Michael asked, his voice tense. Emily's brow furrowed. "It could be a warning. Maybe the Kiroth weren't just facing a natural catastrophe. What if they were fleeing something, or someone?" The thought sent a chill through the room. While the Kiroth had left their knowledge as a gift, it was possible their demise had been caused by forces that might still exist, forces that could come searching for the crystal. "We have to be even more cautious," Michael said firmly. "This isn't just about protecting the knowledge. It's about ensuring it doesn't attract unwanted attention." In the weeks that followed, the research facility was established, and the crystal was moved to its new home. Emily and Michael continued their work, driven by a sense of purpose and responsibility. They knew they had uncovered something extraordinary, something that could change the course of humanity's future. As they stood in the quiet lab one evening, Emily looked at the crystal, its faint glow illuminating the room. "This is only the beginning," she said softly. "The Kiroth entrusted us with their legacy. It's up to us to ensure it's used wisely." Michael nodded, placing a hand on her shoulder. "And we will, one step at a time." Together they turned back to their work, knowing that their journey with the crystal and the mysteries it held was far from over. But for now, they had taken the first steps toward honoring the trust of a lost civilization and protecting a discovery that could shape the future of humanity.
Subscribe and press the bell icon so that you never miss the amazing video.